angel and the girls, not so shy. 깨물까지 있어야 나 것도 난데 잔고력을 가이세요. 화사대를 내일은 앞초라도 메이크 유로그와 카리코이 하세요.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing today? Oh, man, I overslept today. I could not believe it. I'm normally up by 6:30 every day. No problems. I'm up in time. The wife leaves for work about 6:45, so I'm up in time to at least have my first cup of coffee and give her a kiss goodbye. This morning, I could not believe it. It was 7:30 when I opened my eyes, and I do not remember if the wife come back to said goodbye to me or not. I slept hard. And then I got up and turned on the computer and started looking at what was going on in the world. And I was like, oh. Everything is about the hearings yesterday. And I told you, I'm not spending much time on this kangaroo court. I am not. So I've got a little bit I want to talk about it later on, but I'm not going to spend much time. I'm not going to give credence to these people's lies. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to do it. And just as a reminder of what these Democrats, no, I'm not going to bother doing that. I've got a piece of good news I want to share out here this morning. And it's actually a piece of very good news. Oh, yeah, it's Ryan. They're all acting. I mean, I have never seen so many people who failed at fifth grade theatrics as I did in watching the clips from yesterday. I mean, the crocodile tears. Did they have onions tapped up inside their shirt sleeves or something to uh, cause them to cry like that? Because that's and the dramatic pounding on the desk and the saying of the N word and they tried to pull them off. Anyway, that's it was a these guys practice their lines. That's all I want to say about it. I do have a piece of good news here I want to share. And this makes me very happy when I saw this. And I saw this this morning and I was like, oh, yeah. Now, again, Forbes comes to the rescue. Forbes comes to the rescue with their yeah, Ryan, you're right. There was a time that a certain Congress critter, I can't remember his name, said that he was called the N word multiple times. And Breitbart put out a $10,000 reward, or was it $1 million? I'm not. And this was Andrew Breitbart of anybody having video proof of these guys being called the N word. So nobody ever collected the money up until the day he died. But here's something that made me real happy, because I did not realize that this was going on, or rather that the problem was actually there. And I want to make sure I got the audio shared on this, because this is too good. This is too good not to hear. And Ryan, you'll be happy about this.
What is the White House doing to specifically win over support from Democrats on the nomination of David Chipman to lead the ATF? Senator Durbin just told us this morning that Democrats don't have the votes, and Senator Tester also signaled this morning.
They don't have the votes to approve Chipman to the ATF. Democrats are voting against him. This is great news. This is fantastic news.
Morning that the nomination could even be pulled.
And they're asking about pulling. They're asking the White House to pull the nomination.
Is the White House still pushing through on that nomination, and what is the White House doing to whip up votes?
Well, I'd first remind people, as you well know, but for others, that not only is he a veteran of the ATF.
Yeah, he did work at the ATF. He is a veteran of the ATF.
But he's somebody who's been a supporter of smart gun reform measures that could save lives of people. Gun reform measures that could
wait a second. Let me back this back up. I paused it too soon.
Supporter of smart gun reform measures that could save lives of people across the country.
Yeah, he is a supporter of taking every legal gun owner's guns away. Criminals don't pay attention to the laws. And everything that this guy Chipman supports disarms law-abiding gun owners. So, yeah, that's really smart there, Jen Psaki. That's really smart. No, Dar, they're not going to ask him about Waco. That's not going to happen.
The president felt quite confident in his qualifications and his ability to lead the agency at a time where it hasn't been led for many years. in terms of our specific legislative strategy, I'd really have to talk to the team and see where things stand with that.
And a quick follow-up. What is the White House?
Yep. Psaki. Yeah. Chipman. That's good news. That I wanted to start the day off with good news. And that is about as good a news as we're going to get out of this administration. The only way we'll get anything better out of this administration is for them to say that they were all resigning, and all the way down to Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, and they're taking AOC with them. No, that's about the only other news that could be any better at this point about having Chipman. Yeah, that's about as good of news as we can expect. I can't think of anything. I mean, I really can't think of any news coming out of this administration that'd be any better, that has a legitimate reason of happening. So I'm not going to go that far, Dar. But yeah, they definitely got the plans that they're trying to do a one-party rule. That's definite. And yeah, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Now, Democrats, for all their wailing and gnashing of teeth, they're the best gun salesmen that the gun industry's ever had. They really and truly are. If it wasn't for Democrats, gun sales wouldn't be at the level that there are. I mean, I wouldn't be trying to figure out how to buy guns that I can't justify to myself owning other than to piss off Democrats. Just to say, yeah, I've got them, and what are you going to do about it? I've got a Second Amendment right to it. You know, that's the only reason. If I buy more guns, that's the only, unless I manage to find a short barrel, a 410 pistol somewhere that I can pick up at a reasonable price. Nice little bedside self-defense weapon. But yeah, that's you are right. That is reason enough. You know, anything to piss off the Democrats, reason enough. Gun grabbers. So that does make me happy, though, to see Chipman is falling, that he does not have the support. One day they're going to manage to get somebody in there that's going to do what they want. And one day that's going to happen. Oh, she needs her own range bag? Yeah, you need your own range bag if you only own one gun. Of course you need your own range bag. You got your own pair of APs you need to keep in there. You got your own cleaning kit you need to keep in there. You got you got to have room for your own bullets. Yeah, you got to have room to, when you pick up your brass, you got to have room to put your empty brass. So, yeah, and if you're just taking one gun to the range, you need your own range bag. It all depends on how big that range bag needs to be. But yeah, I mean, I'm buying everybody, my family, and my son and daughter-in-law. I'm buying all of them electronic EPs. I'm a real big fan of those things. I wish they would have had them when I was in the service. I may not have lost so much of my hearing as I did, but they didn't. And even wearing double ear protection, I lost quite a bit of my hearing on my right ear. But that's why anybody that works on the flight line gets an automatic 10% disability for hearing loss. It's almost automatic because we all experience it. Now, Pisaki, she expressed that she was happy about something yesterday. And I'm sitting there going, really? You don't like having freedom? You know, it really shouldn't. Well, good morning, Becca. How you doing today? It amazes me how many Democrats and how many people in general, but mostly Democrats, want the government to tell them what they have to do for their own good. They want the government to tell them that they have to do something that's mandatory. They don't have the wherewithal to decide for themselves that something's good or that they need to do something for their own good. Beck, I'm going to be honest with you. Other than the fact I got an extra hour of sleep this morning because I overslept, I'm doing great. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Oh, wonderful day in the neighborhood. Good morning, Neil. I was wondering if you were going to show up. But Pisaki, Jennifer Psaki there, you know, she actually says she wants the government to force people to make mandates about things. And that just doesn't make sense to me. You're a grown woman. You are a grown woman. Why do you need the government to tell you you have to do something? Aren't you smart enough? Aren't you wise enough? Aren't you intelligent enough? Don't you have enough common sense to decide for yourself, regardless of what the government says or what the government doesn't say, of what you need to do for your own self? But I guess she's not. She's this crowd that wants the government to tell her everything. And you know, I've got to make. I wish they made this little square a little bit bigger or something, so I made certain I could check mark it. But listen to this. I mean, I'm just absolutely amazed that she actually says this.
Thank you, Jen.
I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
When was the White House told that this CDC guidance was changing?
There's been, it's obviously a decision the CDC made. The president was briefed this morning by Dr. Fauci. But beyond that, we've been aware of their discussions with our public health officials. Yeah.
And the CDC is also going to recommend that children in schools all wear a mask, that everyone in schools wear a mask regardless of vaccination status. But there are at least 8 states that actually prohibit their districts from requiring a mask in schools. So what are parents who have children in those schools, in those states, supposed to do?
What are the parents in these schools and in these states are supposed to do? Well, if you feel that your child needs to wear a mask, you tell them to wear a mask. If you feel your child doesn't need to wear a mask, you tell them don't wear a mask. How's that? Take responsibility. Make your own decision. Don't rely on the government to tell you. Don't rely on the government to tell you what you have to do. Now, Becca, is it prohibits masks in schools or is it prohibits the school from mandating a mask? Because Florida is one of the states that says that schools cannot mandate a mask. They're not saying you can't wear a mask at school. They're just saying the school can't mandate it. And there's a big difference. You have the ability to wear a mask if you want to. If your doctor says that you need to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. If you feel you need to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. They're not telling you you can't. They're just saying that some arbitrarily elected individual with no medical training can stand there and says you have to wear it.
Well, look, Caitlin, I'm happy not to live in a state where that is the guidance. And
I'm happy to live in a state where that's not the guidance. I'm happy to live in a state where the government mandates everything, that I don't have to think for myself, that I don't have to wonder and spend time to consider, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? Should I eat this? Shouldn't I eat this? I live in a state where the government can tell me I've got to put a piece of cloth across my face that may or may not, depending on the type of cloth I'm wearing, that may or may not, depending on the type of cloth I'm wearing, help me, prevent me from getting something. So, yeah. Okay, let's see, Becca, what is that? Prohibits mask mandates. Okay, that's great. It prohibits a mask mandate, but does it prohibit you from wearing a mask if you want to? If you want to, I'll make a bet that if you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. If you want, I'll make a bet. If you want to wear a mask there, you can wear a mask.
And this is new guidance that is being issued by the CDC today. I don't know how it will influence local elected officials in these states, but I certainly hope for the health and well-being of the next generation that they take a close look at the guidance.
And let the parents make a decision. Let the parents decide whether or not they want their kids to wear a mask. So you do, okay, Becca, no freedom to choose. So you do have the choose to wear you do have the freedom to choose to wear a mask if you want to, correct? But let the parents decide. Gee whiz, we've got smart people out here in this country, Pisaki. We don't need to have elected professionals, elected officials, excuse me, not professionals, but officials, tell us what we have to do to micromanage our lives. That's not the government's job.
And one more question. You just said you don't think the federal government has the power to mandate vaccinations across the country, but they do have the power to mandate them within the government. So why is everyone who works in the federal government not mandated to get vaccinated?
Well, I would say first, Caitlin, that you saw the VA announcement yesterday, which was really about public health and about protecting the patients, the men and women who have served our country. But we are going to continue to look at ways to protect our workforce and to save more lives. I just have nothing to preview for you at this point.
Should we?
Okay. And I've got no problem. And now this is where I don't have I've got less of a problem of requiring those who work with sick people, with people with compromised immune systems, who are already ill, to have a vaccine and to take steps to from spreading any kind of a disease, not just COVID, but anything. So I've got no problem with that. it's the blanket. So, people who healthcare industry, I've got no problem with healthcare industry people who actually work with patients being required to wear a mask, being required to get the vaccine. That doesn't bother me as much. But to just put a blanket, everybody must go get a vaccine, line up, roll up your sleeves, take the shot. I've got a huge problem with that.
We expect more vaccination mandates from federal agencies.
I think a range of agencies and leaders will look at what steps they should take to protect their workforce and save lives.
Go ahead.
So there, Becca. There we go. Not just Becca, but everybody else. These are the people that we have running up there in the government. People who want us to have to depend on them to live our daily lives. They want to take away our freedom of choice in anything and everything. And that's not what this country is about. It's that freedom thing, the freedom to choose. The left is real great about the freedom to choose to kill an unborn child. Oh, that's a freedom. That's a right that can't be restricted in any way, shape, and or form. But the freedom not to take a shot, the freedom not to wear a mask, oh no, these are freedoms that we're not supposed to have. Now, I'm not saying the Republicans are Snow White here. They've got their own issues that they need to come and grapple with. Like Becca said there, Abbott is kind of late to the game of giving people the freedom to make choices, but he's finally doing it. And that's a good thing. The American people will make the the individual American will make the right choice 99% of the time. They'll make the choice that's right for them. It's not, and yes, you're going to have those outliers that never make the right choice. The people who don't want to, just, flip the middle finger off to everything. All right. You've got your kooks and your other people out there. But for the most part, Americans aren't dumb. And we make the choices and we are educated enough, smart enough to make decisions to affect our families correctly. And not every family is the same. You got a family out in Idaho that, or Wyoming versus a family in New York City or Chicago. What's right for one isn't right for them. And anytime a centralized government makes mandates, they're ignoring the fact that people's lives are different. And this is what we've got to do. We've got to understand that. Now, I'm about to pay a compliment to an individual that I don't like. This is one of the few times I think this woman is doing something, or at least asked some smart questions, and something that needs to be looked at because it's shady as hell. It can be shady as hell. And I'm actually talking about Elizabeth Warren, because she asked a very smart question and got a very smart answer here.
Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you and the ranking member for holding this hearing. So the cryptocurrency boosters argue that crypto is the yellow brick road to a faster, cheaper, and safer financial system.
I know a lot of people who are into crypto, and I've asked some questions of them because I don't have the time to study into crypto. I don't have, and it's not something that I'm looking into buying into. And they don't seem to understand it any better than I do, to be honest.
That works for everyone, not just for the biggest banks. There is no question that our financial system needs change, big structural change. And we should be willing to consider how these new technologies can help consumers and our economy. But as the cryptocurrency market grows, it is also our responsibility to carefully examine these claims and promises about crypto's potential.
And she's right. I haven't seen anybody put out anything negative about crypto. Everything seems to be about buying Bitcoin, buying Dogecoin, buying this one, buying that one. Buy it when it's low and hopefully sell it when it's very high. Out mining for crypto. That's why there's computer chip shortages all over the place, because these big miners are out there mining the crypto to get rich.
Now, one of the advantages crypto advocates claim about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is that they're, quote, decentralized. Our current system is dominated by a handful of big banks that are mostly free to jack up costs for consumers, to restrict access to financial products, and gobble up smaller competitors until the big guys become too big to fail. By contrast, advocates claim that cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology that underlies them decentralize power and control, creating the possibility of a more democratic financial system. So, Professor Walsh, that sounds pretty good to me. Has your research shown that crypto is decentralized in this way?
Now, it makes sense if you think about it, because remember, there's more than one crypto coin out there. It's not just Bitcoin. You got Bitcoin and Dogecoin. Dogecoin, I guess, was started up as being a joke, a PO, and it turned out and ended up being something real.
So it's true that in cryptocurrencies, you don't have one single central party. So I guess technically you could say, yes, it's decentralized. It's more than one. But we have to.
Now, here's a but I've got. All right. Having more than one currency in the United States, you've still got to have a centralized currency that other currencies are based on. All these coins here, they all set their value against the US dollar. You have to have a centralized monetary system to make these other ones work. Or else it's going to be, the Dogecoin is worth this against the Bitcoin, but it's worth this against the US dollar. It's worth this against the other cryptocurrency. It's worth this. you get into this massive game of, whose dollar, whose coin, which currency is actually worth more.
To remember that there are absolutely pockets of power within these systems, particularly the core software developers and the large miners who can absolutely exploit their position of power to affect users of the systems.
So they have the capacity here to manipulate the system. That sounds to me like a lousy trade-off. Instead of leaving our system, our financial system, at the whims of giant banks, crypto puts the system at the whims of some shadowy, faceless group of super coders and miners, which doesn't sound better to me. So let me ask about another claimed benefit of crypto, which is that it's safer and more secure than traditional government-issued money in the bank. Because the blockchain system is supposed to be difficult to hack, impossible to manipulate, and less prone to network failure.
But if something happens to your hard drive, and where your hard drive becomes corrupted or damaged, then you've lost everything. There's rumors, urban legends of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency being in a landfill somewhere, and people are out digging up that landfill looking for the hard drive that's got it on there.
We might not need to worry about things like data breaches or a cyber attack that takes down the network. Professor Walsh, are cryptocurrencies as safe and secure as the proponents claim?
So they certainly have characteristics that enable them to be, resistant to hacking, but it's a misnomer to say that anything is absolutely secure. The parties within the system, such as miners, can exploit their positions to reorganize the blockchain. In some circumstances, that's become a big issue and topic of discussion within Ethereum. So, and this leaves out even the fact that there have been countless hacks of exchanges and stuff that are outside the crypto systems.
Okay, thank you. But
so now as you can tell, I have a hard time saying this. Warren is actually asking some pretty smart questions here. She's obviously already got all the answers because the way her questions lead from one to another. But, just to have, I've just got, I can't trust her. She is so far to the left that I just can't trust her, the gumption behind, the reasoning behind these questions she's asking, even though to my mind, she's asking some pretty smart questions. Maybe this is a unicorn moment for her where she's actually doing something I can agree with.
even if crypto isn't an improvement over our current system when it comes to being more democratic or less hackable, there's one other possible benefit, and it is a big one. Crypto proponents claim that crypto is safe from the kind of financial crisis that blew up the economy back in 2008. After all, the story goes, the motivation behind Bitcoin's creation was to avoid exposure to bank collapses and financial contagion in the traditional financial system. Professor Walsh, for that to be true, crypto would have to be insulated from the risks that make our financial system vulnerable to a crisis and vice versa. Is that the case?
No, I don't believe that is true. Risks in the crypto sector, software bugs, attacks, anything that could go wrong there can affect the entire crypto sector, but can also, through all these links that have been built between the crypto financial system and the traditional financial system, those risks can come across those bridges, those links, to affect people in the traditional financial system who may never have actually touched crypto in their lives.
And don't forget that an item is only worth what someone else is willing to pay for it. People are willing to spend big money on some crypto coins? What if they decide all of a sudden they're not willing to spend money on these big crypto coins? Morning, Clockwork. I didn't see you come in, Rex. I'm sorry. People aren't, nothing is worth anything that somebody's not willing to pay. That's all there is to it. I've got a television here. I could say I want $1 million for it. To me, it's worth $1 million. Is anybody willing to pay me $1 million for it? No. So is it, where is the value of that thing actually at? It's at what somebody is willing to pay for it, not the value you place on it. And the same thing goes with crypto coin.
All right. So look, there's no doubt that we need a stronger, safer, and more inclusive financial system.
More inclusive. God, woman, we're not talking, financial systems don't exclude people. What excludes people from financial systems, from having money, is their ability to work at a job that pays them extraordinary amounts of money. That's what excludes, and that's based upon a person's education. It's built upon the person's willingness to work hard, spend hours doing things, give up things to earn that money. So no, crypto is no more inclusive than the American dollar is. There's no such thing as inclusive financial systems.
The biggest banks have too much power, present too many risks to financial stability, and have failed to serve Americans' needs. The giant banks have created huge problems, but I'm not convinced that crypto is the solution. In fact, crypto could be even more dangerous for consumers, more dangerous for the environment, and more dangerous for the stability of our financial system. That is why yesterday I sent a letter to Secretary Yellen in her capacity as head of the Financial Stability Oversight Council to urge her to lead our regulators in developing a comprehensive and coordinated approach to regulating cryptocurrencies. Look, all the warning signs.
All right. That's enough for her. Now she's going into la la land again. But yeah, skill, Dar, you're right. Your skill, inherent abilities. Like we were talking about yesterday, or I was saying yesterday, I love playing basketball. I loved playing baseball when I was growing up. I liked playing football until I got half a dozen ribs sprung in one game. And then I decided I wasn't playing no more football. That hurt too much. But yeah. But was I skilled at any of these games? No. Any league sport I played on, I spent more time polishing the bench than I did playing the game. I think I got 15 minutes of play my freshman year on the basketball team for the entire season. I think I was in for a grand total of 15 minutes. So, yeah, now skill is a big thing. A person who can run faster is going to make money at being able to run. A person who's more dexterous, and able to move very finite things around is going to make money doing that. Wherever your skills lie is where you make money. I mean, I can't sing or rap. But people who can make a lot of money singing and rapping. I can't write poetry, but those people who can write poetry make money writing their poetry. authors, people who write books, they can make money doing that stuff. Okay. Oh, Rex. I appeal denied, so I told them to get their stuff in order. Oh, did I miss something here in this conversation? Okay. Well, Rex, I hope whatever's going on works out in your favor. But yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of things going on. And we need to look at this oh, got struck down this morning. Oh, that sucks. Oh, yeah, a lot of streams have been getting struck here lately. And I'm not smart enough on the ins and outs of what's going to know what's going on or have an idea. I'm just sitting here running my mouth. Now, there's another little bit of how can I put this? The Biden administration, yeah, you're right. Music is. One thing, some of the First Amendment auditors, a trick that a lot of cops are doing now to try to scare off First Amendment auditors and such, is they start playing music on their own cell phones as loud as they can. And because they know that music being picked up by the auditors they've got to manipulate their video or stop if they're live streaming, they've got to stop live streaming, or at least cut off the audio to their live stream to keep them from getting struck. It's a dirty trick, but it works. But the Biden administration is getting hit up. Uncopyrighted vid. So it's what it is. Oh. Yeah. That's why on occasion, I upload some of my videos over to some of the other places. Rumble and such, just so that I've got a presence there. But yeah, the far left wing is actually jumping on, sort of attacking. Well, I don't want to go that one yet. I want to get this one over with early. Well, this one makes me mad. And there's only one reason why I'm even talking. Well, there's only one reason why I'm talking about this one. But Becca, I'm giving Becca, particularly you, I'm giving you a trigger warning. This is a story about a young child being kidnapped and abused. So you may want to take a couple minutes out because I know how this affects you. Three, two, one. 10-year-old held captive and tortured by teens for hours while their mother filmed and posted it on TikTok. This is the mother. This is the mother's children. This is the poor little girl. Little Tennessee girl was lured to a neighbor's home by being invited to come to play. Instead, she was tortured and held captive by two teenagers for 5 hours while the mother allegedly filmed the violence. The mother of at least one of the girls, said to be a 35-year-old Teresa Delgado, is accused of filming the torture and posting it to social media. She has not been arrested. Law enforcement today reports the two teenage juveniles had been arrested, and authorities have not yet arrested the mother who allegedly filmed the beating. Reports said they've been charged with aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. I'm not going to look into the details of what happened. Let's just say that she was beat up and cut up and forced to clean up her own blood. The police department came under scrutiny over the incident due to the fact they responded to the victim's home on the day of the incident. The mother, when the girl got home, the mother called the police and the ambulance. The police came up but didn't arrest anybody until 4 days later. 4 days to arrest the two girls that did it. 4 days. And they still haven't arrested the mother. They still haven't arrested the mother as of this morning. Why? If they've got video of her showing that she's put this child, that she videoed this child being beat, she should be in jail already. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. This 10-year-old girl beat up. And this woman supposedly recorded it. And the thing is this woman former medical assistant at Doctor's Care, studied at Ross Medical Education Center from Chicago. Okay. She's very proud of her looks. I'm afraid to go too much further because there's pictures of her children there, and I'm not going to post pictures of her children. It is wrong that these people have not been all arrested. That mother's not been arrested. Morning, Shio. Welcome to the group. Dar, I have no idea what's wrong with people. There are some, I said earlier that 99% of Americans make the right decisions when it comes to their families. Obviously, this woman is in that 1% that don't. How do you raise children that take joy in beating up other people? Then what kind of sick individual records it? Shio, okay. Now Becca can come back. Oh, one too many C's in her name. All well. Now we're going to hit up one of my favorite subjects. One of the ones that I am the most my one soapbox that I get up on and I just can't seem to get off of, and that's illegal immigration. And what the Bidens are doing to it. Well, that's Becca. That's why I posted in there that you could come back now. Once again, the left just isn't happy. They're not happy. The left is not happy with the destruction, the far left, the destruction they're bringing on this country. They want more. They want more destruction. They want to make it faster. We all know that over nearly 1 million illegal immigrants have come into this country. There's got to, I've seen it as ranging from 750,000 to 1.25 million illegals have crossed the border. Estimates. Because they can't, all they can do is estimate. Since Biden's taken over, anywhere between 3/4 to 1.25 million illegals have crossed the border. But the immigration advocates are saying that they're not doing enough. They're saying that the Biden administration is doing too much, deporting too many people.
Removals down to the border.
Well, let me get this to the back. And Saki's answer,
about expedited removals down on the border. As you know, there are advocates for immigrants who say that what this administration is now doing is taking away due process rights by empowering asylum officers to make decisions in the immediate moment for expedited removal. What's
y'all know my opinion on this. Illegals have no rights. If you're in this country illegally, you don't have the right to a judge, to a jury, or to a court hearing. You're in the country illegally, you get deported. That should be the law. End of conversation. No ifs, no ands, no buts. No ifs, no ands, no buts. That's my opinion. If you've entered this country illegally, the only thing you have a right to is a bottle of water and an armed escort to the nearest border. That's it.
your response to that criticism? And on the other side of that coin, is it this administration's view that most of the people who are claiming incredible fear on the border are not entitled to asylum?
Well, no, that is certainly not our claim. We are, of course, people who are applying for asylum who will go through the process, and if their case and their make it warrants, they will be granted asylum. What this is that I should say those families processed for expedited removal who claim fear will have the opportunity to present their cases before an immigration judge and request asylum or other forms of relief or protection.
Okay, request asylum from your home, from outside of the United States. You don't get to come or enter the country legally and then request asylum. But you don't. But anybody who crosses the border illegally should not be allowed to request asylum. You did not follow our laws. You get the hell out.
Protection from removal. So even those who are being processed, the processing of migrants for expedited removal is a traditionally employed lawful means to secure a border, and it is a step toward our broader aim of having a safe and orderly immigration system.
But you're not securing our border. You're not finishing the border fence. You're paying people big money to let the fence lay on the ground, and they're guarding it to keep it from getting stolen.
I will say at the same time, we continue to work to build a fair, orderly, and humane immigration system. We recently expanded the Central American Minors Program and made 6,000 H-2B visas available to Central Americans. But we also want to be crystal clear. Attempting to cross into the United States between ports of entry or circumventing inspection of ports of entry is dangerous. It carries long-term immigration consequences.
Exactly, Becca. They're supposed to stop at the nearest U.S. embassy, and there's half a dozen of them between the southern border and Central America. Yeah, Becca, but they had to sign new contracts to get people to guard the fencing and the gates and such that are laying on the ground.
Consequences, but no, we will still, of course, individuals who are applying for asylum who warrant asylum will be treated accordingly.
About expedited removals.
Sure.
Okay, now then. Now, Biden's been in office 7 months. And 7 months and a few days now. And in that time, let's let this go with that. Let's let this congressman explain it.
Portion of that. It includes the fence. It includes a road for patrol. It includes fiber to do ground detection for movement. It includes cameras. It includes lighting. When that stopped in construction for all of those phases on January the 20th, there was ordered a 60-day study. Can you tell us the status of that study? Because it's been about 200 days since that was done. Is that a study?
A 60-day study was ordered starting January 20th. 60 days. That's 2 months. It's been 7 months. And they're asking about the results from that study because they still haven't gotten it.
Study that we could get access to, is it complete?
That study is ongoing, but we are going project by project, Senator.
60 days you were given for this study. It didn't say 60 days project by project. It said 60 days.
And in fact, in the San Diego sector, for example, of the border, I just approved the application of technology to make 33 gates operational, and approved other things in the San Diego sector. We're going project by project, and I'd be very pleased to provide you with an update on that.
That'd be very helpful. In the Rio Grande Valley sector, which
San Diego hasn't had near the number of illegal immigration that Texas has had down where he's about ready to ask about.
last week alone had 20.
Provide you with an update on that.
That'd be very helpful. In the Rio Grande Valley sector, which last week alone had 20,000 encounters with people illegally crossing the border just last week. In that sector, it's another sector where the gates are installed, but just the power has been cut off to them. And as of January the 20th, they can't open and close gates. Literally, farmers that the fence in some areas cross across their fields can't access both parts of it. They've got to go the long way around. So the challenge is, while you're identifying that in one sector in California and in Texas, they have the exact same issue, yet they're not able to access their fields because the power has not been turned on. You've got other areas where all of the fence is done except for the gates have not been hung, and those are areas where apparently contractors have been hired to be able to watch the steel on the ground rather than actually install it. I think
the hired contractors to sit there and keep the steel from being stolen. Yeah, they canceled the contracts with that steel in the air, but they turn around and spent that money now to guard it.
I think there's some common sense to this as well that doesn't require 200 days of study to say we're going to be able to put the gates up. We're going to put power to the gates so we can actually open and close them. We're going to do roads around so the Border Patrol can actually do patrol. So I would encourage the completion of that, not to mention the fact $2 billion has already been spent of the $10 billion that was allocated to it, not to build the fencing itself. And so we're now down 20% of the funding for whatever decision is going to be made on that.
Did you catch that? Back this up.
$2 billion has already been spent of the $10 billion that was allocated to it, not to build the fencing itself.
They got $10 billion to put up the fencing. The fencing hasn't been put up, but they've spent $2 billion of it guarding the fencing. They're going to blow through that $10 billion and not put up one more stretch of fence. Not one more mile of fence is going to go up, and the Democrats are going, and this guy's going to blow through. The mayor cost is going to blow through the budget that's supposed to be putting that fence up in the air.
And so we're now down 20% of the funding for whatever decision is going to be made on that. That's obviously a serious fiscal issue in the days ahead.
Senator, if I may, I'm not
Sure.
not familiar with that figure, but let me say that The study involves a number of different aspects. For example, adverse environmental impacts that people in those communities have complained of deeply, as well as private landowners' complaints about the taking of their property by eminent domain to construct a border wall. So the review that we're undertaking is comprehensive, taking into consideration landowners' concerns as well. And we're very mindful, of course, of the challenge in the RGV and very focused on it.
Is it
the environmental concerns? Yeah, the environmental concerns put up there by the environmentalists, left-wing environmentalists, who don't want the fence up there at all. So they're pulling out everything they can. The eminent domain question, I am usually against the use of eminent domain. This is one time pay them. Pay them for the property, get under federal control. You're exactly right. It's not his money. He doesn't care. And actually it's more of, it's not his money. He wants to see it blown so that the money doesn't get used to put the fence up. He doesn't want the fence. The Biden administration doesn't want the fence. They want as many illegals brought into the country as possible.
your assumption that at some point that your study may come back and say you want to take parts of the wall down based on landowner comments?
I haven't crossed that issue just yet.
Liar.
If in fact there's that consideration, I certainly would be willing and eager to engage with you on it.
So you want to take down, I'm eager to engage on taking down the fence. Yeah. $10 billion. I'm hoping I'm at the right spot here.
There's an individual previously deported.
Without objection.
Thank you. We've tried to interact and be able to determine all the criminal alien portion. I know there's been a significant change in that. One of the cases that came out, and we have multiples of them, I can share any of these with you, but one of the cases, it's a recent one, was there's an individual previously deported alien. He had a conviction for sexual assault of a minor under 14 years of age. Alien was at large. ICE officers requested permission to target that subject, and the request was denied by ICE management under the new guidelines. It's there. Second case, previously deported alien, conviction for indecency with a child under 5 years of age. That was a registered sex offender for life. Subject's case was evaluated. ICE officers were directed not to pursue arrest under the new guideline. Third case, deported alien twice, conviction for alien smuggling in the past, theft, illegal reentry, asked for permission to be able to interdict, was turned down by regional officers. It's going to be helpful to be able to get new guidance, because the guidance that's currently existing is allowing individuals that are sex offenders, that are criminal aliens, multiple deportations. I can tell you stories of folks.
Now he's going, ICE just recently, and he's going to bring it up, just recently arrested 300 people with sexual assault charges. 300. They know there's more out there and they haven't done anything about them. Why? These are all known sexual predators. If they know where they're at, they should have already been picked up. They should have been picked up as soon as they were as soon as it was realized that they were sexual predators in the country. They should not have been allowed even one day. Okay, Rex, you have a good day. Yep, saying their best sexual predators.
But multiple DUI convictions, that are being instructed by regional leaders not to detain, deport, or arrest. That is a problem for us right now.
Senator, I can't speak to the particular cases that you cite and the facts involved, but let me say this. Yesterday, we announced the results to date of Operation SOAR, which is a law enforcement operation conducted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and they reported the arrest of 300 individuals who have committed sex offenses. So that is, in fact, a public safety threat that we do address aggressively.
No, you're not addressing it aggressively. If people are being, if people who are sexual predators are being allowed to stay in the country, they're not being immediately picked up. Why did you take a major project to arrest 300? Right? Why'd you wait until there was 300 of them in the country to pick them, to swoop and pick them all up? Why didn't you pick them up as they came in, as it became known where they were at and who they were? Should have been done one by one as they came across. Not wait until you had 300 of them so you can make headlines in the newspapers.
I can't speak to the 3 cases that you cite, but I can champion the results of Operation SOAR and our focus on the public safety threat, and that includes individuals who've committed sex offenses.
Well, the last number I had was 6,000 ICE agents in the field and 3,000 detainments or deportations in the month. And that's one of the numbers that we're trying to request from your office, to be able to get exact numbers and be able to track that, what's happening. And that would be very helpful to us.
Thank you.
This is unexcusable. There is no excuse for allowing sexual predators to stay in the country. None whatsoever. They're already here illegally. They've already broken immigration laws. They're already here illegally. Why are they still being allowed to stay here when it's known that they're not only here illegally, but they're also sexual predators? They've got sex crimes with children, not only against grown adult women or grown adults. Some of them are charges are, some of the victims were men, but against children, especially one under the age of 5. That's nearly a baby. You've got somebody who sexually assaulted a child under the age of 5. Others under the age of 14. And no, you can't pick them up. No, you can't detain them. No, you can't arrest them. No, you can't investigate them. No, you can't deport them. And that's coming from the bosses at ICE and the immigration offices. What in the hell are you people thinking? Sheila, I don't even want to think of it being an infant. I don't even want to think of that. No, not to the son. No. Just 9mm. 2 rounds, base of the skull, end of conversation. End of the conversation. Johnson wasn't the only one, though. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I shouldn't have said that, YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube. I apologize. Johnson was the only one, though, and he's a little boring to listen to. I mean, but here, this guy, or not Johnson, but the other guy, he's a little boring to listen to. Johnson here, he's got a few interesting questions that he asked. All right, and now I've got to, because I don't remember if I shared the audio.
Senator Johnson, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me start out by saying that under my chairmanship, it was rare where I didn't allow a second round of questioning. This is the second time that the secretary has appeared before this committee. We have serious issues to discuss. This will be the second time that we won't be able to ask a second round of questions. I would hope the next time he appears and other administration officials appear before this committee, they'll afford the committee the respect we deserve in terms of oversight response.
They're not getting second rounds. That means they've got to fit all their questionings into that 5-minute or 10-minute round that they're allocated for asking questions. You've got to be kidding me. Well, yes, sir. You can ask me all the questions you want that you can fit in this one little time window. Come on, Democrats. Quit playing stupid games.
Responsibility. So, Mr. Secretary, have a short period of time here, so I've got a lot of questions. I hope you keep your answers short and succinct. I appreciate the fact that we had a phone conversation yesterday and we went over some information, some numbers, but I just want you to confirm that based on that conversation, that the numbers I'm dealing with in terms of the extent of the crisis on the border.
Listen to these numbers, pay attention, and then listen the responses that he gets
are largely accurate. Through 6 months, January through June, total apprehensions are a little over 900,000. Is that correct?
I believe that is.
Okay.
As I mentioned,
total apprehensions. That's just the ones they've caught. 900,000. Think of that. 900,000 caught. How many didn't get caught? Another 10,000? Another 100,000? 200,000? You're right, Becca. You're absolutely right. The dots are all there. The dots are all there, and they all lead back to the Biden White House. And this man's office here as well.
Mentioned yesterday in our call, I will provide you. I will provide you with accurate data when our respective teams.
Good. That compares to last year about 180,000. So it's about a 720,000 individual increase. It's about 400% increase on that.
That is
for the first 6 months. About 138,000 people have been released in the interior with a notice to appear. Is that about the right number?
As I mentioned yesterday, Senator Portman, Senator Johnson, I will provide you with the data.
So again,
why don't you have the data at your fingertips right now? You know you're being called up there to answer questions. You know what questions are going to be asked. Why don't you have the data there to answer the questions now? Huh? What's so difficult about having those questions there? About having your answers there now for this? It doesn't make, again, you're showing up there unprepared. You know what question is going to be asked, and you're blowing them off. Well, I didn't bring those answers with me. I'm sorry. I'll have to get back with you. And then what happens? 200 days later, you still haven't gotten back with them.
I will tell you what numbers I've got, and you can respond to me. Again, I don't have much time. According to Senator Langford's excellent report on the fact that we haven't completed this wall and it's costing us billions of dollars, in that report, he also stated there are about 35,000 individuals that have been released in the interior with just a notice to report. And he also states that only about 16%, a little over 5,000 have reported. So in total, in the first 6 months of this year, about 173,000 people have been released in the interior, and that compares to about 5,000 during the first 6 months of 2020.
And how many of those that have been released into the interior have COVID? That were released with COVID?
An enormous increase, 168,000 people more. So my question is, do you have any idea where those 173,000 people went? Do we keep track of that?
Senator, you are citing data with which I disagree.
You disagree. Is that a surprise? Are we shocked?
I'll share the reasons why I disagree with.
Okay, good. So no matter what the number is, do we know where the people that have been released with either notice to appear or notice to report, do we know where they're going? Are we keeping track of it so that we can round them up if they don't appear?
I would use different language. Senator, yes, we do.
Oh, you know where they're all at, huh? Really? You know where all 100 and some odd thousand of these people are at? I'll lay dollars of donuts. You don't have a freaking clue. You know where they say they're at, but you don't have people watching to make certain that they are actually there.
And if in fact people flout our laws, we will.
They have already flouted our laws by entering the country illegally. What part don't you understand?
Exercise our enforcement authorities as the law provides.
Wait a minute. You have not, and you are not when you're allowing sexual predators to stay in the country. You're not enforcing, using the laws.
Okay, so do we notify states and cities that we are releasing individuals into their jurisdictions?
There are times when we work very closely with state and local jurisdictions to coordinate.
Are there times when you don't?
Care of individuals.
Does every state, does every city know when you are sending a truckload or a busload or a few people into their city or into their jurisdiction with a notice to appear or notice to report?
We do not, and there are reasons for that under the law.
I would love to know what reasons tells you what the law is that gives you reasons not to tell a city that you're bringing in 200 illegal immigrants and dumping off on their city limits and telling them to take care of it. I'd love to know what that law is, says that you have to keep that a secret from the city. Would you mind quoting that law to us, please?
And let me say
that's all I need to know. Okay, so let's talk some more numbers. So if we're at 173,000 people released in the interior for the first 6 months, if you multiply that times 2, that's 346,000 people. A recent report, and this is anecdotally as well, we're hearing that on average it's about 750 to 1,000 known gotaways per day. That's on top of the 6,300 apprehensions per day. So 750 to 1,000 known gotaways. We don't know how many unknown gotaways we've got, but 750 to 1,000 known gotaways per day. That translates to basically 269,000 people getting away, getting into the United States, and we have no idea who they are or where they're going. Is that roughly your understanding of that number as well?
No, it isn't. And
okay, so you can get so again, that's something else you need to report back to me on. So
and he'll get back with you in 5 or 6 months. You know, it's like this 60-day study. 180 days after the study was supposed to be over with, they still haven't gotten it back to you, gotten the results out to anybody because they're still studying it. They're instead of releasing the study there, well, they're just doing the study on bits and pieces at a time.
Information I've got. So if you add up those two numbers, doubling the 6 months, people with notices to appear, notices to report, 346,000 plus 269, that's over 600,000 people coming to this country, either being apprehended and dispersed, or just because we're so overwhelming CBP that they're able to get in this country, get away, and nobody knows who they are. Over 600,000 people. Just to put that in perspective, that's larger than the population of Wyoming. It's approaching the population of Vermont. That is the extent of the problem that, I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary, you and this administration are denying. You are in a state of denial in terms of the crisis. You said that you're going to defend against dangerous threats. You got 269,000 people. You don't know who they are. You know, my guess, many of them might be drug traffickers, members of transnational criminal organizations, gang members. But let's talk about the murders and the deaths occurring in our inner cities. Mr. Secretary, let me ask you, are you aware that the human traffickers sell children so they can create a family unit that can exploit our asylum laws? Are you aware that that happens?
Senator.
Yes or no? Are you aware that that happens?
Will you give me an opportunity?
No. I want my questions answered. Are you aware that human traffickers sell children to create a family unit?
Your articulation of what occurs at the border is inaccurate.
Well, then give us better information, because we're not getting it. Are you aware of how many of these young girls are raped on their way and being abused by these human traffickers? Are you aware of that happening? Are you aware of how many people are you investigating the people that are being engaged and being forced?
And see, this is why they need the second round of questioning, because there are so many questions here that can't be answered, that this idiot doesn't have the answers to, they didn't bring with him. He's got the answers. He just, well, I don't have them here in front of me. Yes, you do, but you know what they are. But you're not answering them. You'll say you'll get back later, and 90 days later, you still have that. You don't get back to them. You never get back to them with their answers.
Into the sex trade,
of course we are.
Of human in servitude.
Of course we are, Senator.
Involuntary servitude.
Of course we are. And when an individual who suffers that victimization at the hands of criminals comes to our border and makes a claim for humanitarian relief under United States law, we consider those claims for relief under United States law. That's what we do with respect to those tragic cases.
Mr. Secretary, again, I have so many questions. I've run out of time. I hope next time you come and you actually will stay for second and third and maybe fourth rounds of questions, because the American people deserve transparency. They deserve accountability. They need to understand this enormous, tragic crisis on our border. And right now, because the mainstream media is not reporting it, and your administration isn't even admitting we have a crisis on the border, the American people are basically in the dark of what's happening here. It's tragedy. It's a travesty.
Senator, the next time I testify before this committee, I do hope that I'll have the opportunity to provide answers, to explain the laws of the United States, to explain how we're executing those laws, to explain the plan that we have.
I would be satisfied with basic facts and numbers that we're not getting, because the facts and the numbers will describe what's happening. And that's probably one of the reasons why we're not being provided that information. So please give us the information, and not necessarily just in hearing, on an annual or on an ongoing basis, daily, weekly. Give us that information.
I will.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And you're lying out of your backside. You're absolutely lying. They did not come in there to answer questions. He came up there to obfuscate. He came. Oh, Dar, you're exactly right. That's what I'm saying. How many of these illegals are carrying COVID? How many of them are responsible? If we knew what cities these illegals were dumped in, and then this recent spike in COVID infections, I wonder how those two numbers would align. You know, it's like you look at Democrat, you want to look at gun violence. All you got to do is look at cities that are run by Democrats, and they align up. So I want to see, I would love to know where these cities that these illegals are being dumped, and then the COVID. Obfuscate. Yep. But he came up there to lie. He came up there to, lie by omission. Oh, I don't have those numbers. I don't have those numbers at my fingertips. Sorry. Or I disagree with your numbers. Yeah, you're saying 100,000 while it's actually only 90,000. So I disagree with your numbers. Well, it's 10,000. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're saying 900,000. It's only 750,000. You're wrong. You're off by 100,000 people. At that range of people, does it really make a difference? The numbers that Johnson had are close enough to the facts. All right, I've got last bit here of thing here I want to show. I want to show this morning. I built up a little slideshow. I'm going back to the title. The first day after day one. And the great attack on democracy as the Democrats are playing it. Something that's never happened, hasn't happened since the, some of them, and some have said it forever. Some of them say the War of 1812. I don't even need to go back that far. I really don't. Oh, wait a minute. Well, how long has it been? Coming up on the last 15 minutes. I'll save that for later. Okay. Let's see here. Share screen window. Oh, wait a minute. Let me. I'm going to take this. Let's see if I've got this right now. Yeah, I do. Okay. We're going to go back in time just a little bit. We're not going to go back to the War of 1812. We're not going to go back to 9/11. We're not going back in time to any of the great indignities thrust upon this country, as the Democrats call them, and saying that what happened on January 6th was worse than, or just as bad as. Don't have to. I'm just going to go back maybe a year and a half at the utmost. This is Senator Rand Paul being escorted by the police as he's trying to leave. That's his wife with him, trying to leave the White House. Okay, why am it? Oh, because I have to go back to this other screen. Duh. No, it should. Here we go. These are the protesters in Washington, D.C. This is Washington, D.C. on fire. This is on fire. May 31st, 2020. Let's see if I can make that bigger. Here we go. Washington's Monument. Lincoln's Memorial. Yeah, it looks like there was some problem there in Washington, D.C. Okay, whoops. Maybe because I enlarged it, it's not letting me. Why isn't it let me change? Oh, no. Okay. What's going on? Let me try this again here. Close that, come back over here. I got to try sharing this again because something didn't happen correctly. Okay. All right. Here they are again. These are protesters. These are the police trying to hold back the protesters. What's this in the background here? Isn't that the White House? Yeah, here's Rand Paul and his wife again being, I think this is before the police, the DC, oh no, that's why DC police right there with them. Look at this. This was just last year. There it is. Look at the police in riot gear. I had the video to this at one time. I can't find it now. I must have accidentally deleted it. Yeah. That was just last year in Washington, D.C. And it lasted more than one night. This wasn't a one-night thing. So when they sit here and they up there in Capitol Hill, and those Democrats and the press start talking about how this is the worst thing ever to happen, the biggest threat to our democracy ever to happen, let's just remember. Yeah, you're right, Dar. They actually attacked the Supreme Court building. Oh, none of those images came up? Oh. Okay, let me get back over here again. I thought I had this figured out earlier today. Let's see. Now, let me see if this picture comes up. Now, see, my computer says StreamYards is sharing this, but I'm not seeing it on my phone. There it is. All right. Then here's this one. Some more of the protesters. There they are protesting at, this is at the White House. The White House. Look at the armed guards there. Rand Paul being attacked. The Metro Police having to try to protect Rand Paul. You can't say that can't say I'm doctoring these pictures. You can't say that these aren't the pictures of DC. Can't tell me that's not DC on fire. May 31st, 2020. Not when you can see Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial there in the background. This was a year ago. But what they're wanting to claim is what happened on January 6th was worse than this. DC wasn't set afire. Senators weren't attacked in the streets. So let's keep this in mind when we hear these liars in the Democratic Party up there trying to tell us that things were worse on January. Worst thing ever. So, yep, that's it. This is what I woke up to this morning. And thank goodness I've now got this way here. This is my yelling at the sky. When I'm seeing crap like this is what makes me yell at the sky. When I see the liberal media, when I see the media pushing the lies, not pushing back, not showing what happened a year ago, and bringing up these same Democrats who are wringing their hands and clutching their pearls now, talking about how this was a great thing. What was going on a year ago was a great thing. Advocating for it. Saying it needed to go more, needed to get worse. That was mostly peaceful demonstrations. CNN having a reporter out there with the building on fire behind them telling us how it was mostly a peaceful demonstration. No. What happened on January 6th was mostly a peaceful demonstration. Yes, some idiots went too far. Those need to be prosecuted. But even that, those that have been sitting in jail now in solitary confinement in Washington, D.C. Reports of abuse, not being allowed to talk to their lawyers. I think that's what I'll do tomorrow. I think that's going to be what I'm going to dig up for tomorrow's stream. Is what's going on, the reports coming out of what's happening to the people that have been arrested. Now, am I against them being arrested and charged? No. If they went and they damaged anything, they stole anything, of course they need to be charged. But do they need to be sitting in solitary confinement for 6 months? Are they to be denied their rights to talk to their lawyers? That is extreme application of the law. That's what you're right, Revdar. You're right. Political prisoners. And it is political. I've got to find something here. Because this has been an ugly stream. This has been an ugly stream. And I think we need some peace. Oh, come on. I am doing the old man in this okay, now why am I getting feedback? Here we go. Let's get some NASA film footage going of Venus. Let me get my version of the ducks up there. Get my version of some duckies up here. this is how we're going to end the stream today. Looking at space. And where, if we did things the way we're supposed to, we could actually get there. We could actually explore this. Maybe not with man on Venus, but we'll be able to see what's there. Science. Okay, people. What I'd like to do now is just remind everybody to be with the ones you love. Love the ones that you're with. And try to have a good day. Don't be like me. Don't let these idiots in DC get you all wound up all the time. All right? We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for coming out. Bye.